Ebiere. I'm here with Ebiere, and we are going to be discussing Ebiere's video. This video, African parenting video, it's touched my soul, and I told Ebiere, I was like, please, can we talk about it, because we need to unpack some things. I think I even commented on your post saying that we need to unpack some things, because I think it's such. My first thing is, how has nobody ever talked about this? How is this not something that everybody is talking about? You know, when I saw the video, I was like, wait a minute, I don't think I've ever seen anybody, talk about this. Like, how is this? Like, it's a no-brainer. It's something that we need to be talking about every other week, but how are we not talking about it? Have you seen this, anybody talk about this before?
I don't know. I feel like there might be people. I'm sure there has to be people. I haven't really come across a video complaining about the way we just casually label us as dragon parents. Like, I'm always so uncomfortable every time someone says to me, now, like typical African parent, just slap you. I'm like, no, don't. That's not typical of us. And let's not say that. And it's not okay. And it's not a LOL thing, So that's how I hear it more. I don't think I've ever heard anybody complaining about it, but I'm sure there has to be other people like me who just think, no, I don't like it, and we need to stop it. And I'm sure they'll come out. I'm sure there's some old videos we haven't seen, but I haven't seen any yet. But I just don't want to believe there isn't.
Why did you feel so strongly about it? Because we could also see how emotional you were in the video, and you said that it had been heavy on your heart. Why did you feel so strongly about it?
Yeah, that's a longer story. That's for me, it's something that I struggle with. I struggle with anything that kind of, like, it was very hard for me to release the video because it was emotional for me, and I don't like showing emotion publicly. I'm learning to be vulnerable. I'm learning to, all that kind of stuff isn't easy for me. But the reason why it really hit me, to be honest, it was my experience last year during lockdown and the BLM protest, the death of George Floyd. I know that it gripped a lot of people, but, and I think it affected everybody in a different way. And it affected me in a way that I never expected. In fact, the thing that people don't even know is, before George Floyd, my attention was drawn to this other lady I think it was in New York, in Central Park, who basically told an African-American man that she was going to call the police and say that there's an African-American man threatening. So I saw that video, and I'm going to be honest and say, normally I swipe or skip past stuff like that. I'm just like, whatever, being silly, who cares? And I've never really, there've been stories in the past of, kind of maybe injustices or things that happen to Black people. And I am known by my friends and family to just go, please. Not that I didn't care, but I just thought, please, if people want to be silly, that's their problem. We don't have to feel bad about it. And I just never really tuned in too much to talks about racism. I think in my mind, I was trying to ignore it because I just thought, look, please, I don't want to bring myself down with believing that anybody wants to look down on me. Do you know who I am? But I think for some reason, I don't know if it's because we're in lockdown, when that video of the lady came up, I remember feeling, oh my gosh, that's awful, and it was only less than a week later, a few days later, it was George Floyd. And I remember the feeling in my bones, in my body. I felt so sad, like a deep sadness that it was so bad. I was so low. People around me that know me well, my husband, my friends, they just kept thinking, they were a bit surprised. I mean, they knew that it was bad, they felt bad, but they were surprised by my reaction because they know what I'm like. But I was like, this is so terrible. It wasn't because I have, kids, because there was the 2012 protests in London. I had a son then, and I wasn't as affected. I think this time it just really hit me. And it hit me because I felt that this thing is not going away. there are so many people around me, more people were talking about it. And there's so many people, and what was coming out from the rhetoric of people around me talking, it wasn't that they had been victims of racism. That wasn't the thing. It was the fact that they had subconsciously hidden themselves or subconsciously molded themselves to fit into something because of fear of racism. And so I think what really hit me was the fact that people who were in good jobs around me, I'm around a lot of, middle class and people, Black Africans or whatever, that are doing well. So it wasn't a poverty story. It was more like even us in our lives have hidden ourselves. Even us in our lives are not so sure how we'll be accepted. And subconsciously, we have changed some of who we are in order to fit in. That this is what I started to realize. And for me, every day came a newer, deeper realization. I started to see that, oh my goodness, even in my business that had been running for 3 years, my face wasn't anywhere. I had subconsciously hidden who was behind the business for fear, or in my, this is not consciously.
Yeah.
That was a scary thing for me. I just felt it was better if I wasn't on the picture. Some people say, because you're shy. I'm not shy.
Mm-hmm.
You know me. You can make up any story to fit. But I'm not shy. I did it because when I think back, I remember looking at, I remember feeling happy knowing that people are coming to me not knowing what I look like. And I remember liking the surprise when they see me, which, to be fair, there probably wasn't any surprise. It's all in your head. You make up these stories. Everybody they just want their kids to be well taught and looked after. Not many people care what you look like or whether you're Black or white, but when you tell yourself, so I'd subconsciously convince myself that people don't need to know what I look like. It'll be better if I'm not on my website, because then they can come bring they can bring their kids for me to, work with, academically without realizing. And by the time nonsense. So when I realized that's what I was doing, that was another layer of sadness. And I thought, oh my gosh. Then the next day, something else will come up again for me, where I realized that, oh my goodness, not only had I been molding I moved to the UK at the age of 17. Not only had I been molding myself to fit the culture, which you'll say is not a bad thing, but when you're molding yourself in such a way that you are losing who you are, in fact, to the point that I don't even know who I am again, I'm just, I started to think, oh my goodness, so who is Ebiere really? And I think what really hit me was the fact that I had been trained up for this. Yeah. I'd been raised in such a way that I'd come to believe that actually, I don't know whether it's British or whether it's just white in general. I don't know which one, but I'd been trained up in a way that came to believe that this was better than where I'm from.
Yeah.
And that broke me. I don't care what's going on in Nigeria. I don't care what's going on in Africa. No child should feel that where they're born, where they're from, is rubbish, worthless, and some other place is better, because subconsciously they start to peel off layers of who they are to be accepted somewhere else. So there's more to that. I'll pause for now, but all that came through this. And I remember just going, I felt like I was sinking. I felt like I was sinking deeper and deeper every day. I was crying, realizing, thinking, oh my gosh, how have I allowed this to happen? I've lived out of my home country for 20 years. And I felt like in 20 years, before I left my home country, I had elocution lessons. I was very particular about how I spoke. I don't even know. I started to think, do I even know which is me, which is not me, what is me, what is not me? My taste in music, I don't even know what I truly like. And what the things it's just so much. Anyway, just to say, from that experience, what brought me out of that experience was when I decided to start speaking up. When I started because before I was sinking. I was literally sinking. People around me who were definitely affected were becoming more affected because of how I was feeling. And it was starting to show more. I had spillover, not anger, but spillover like meltdowns. You could trigger me easily and I'll just lose it, in a meltdown or breakdown. Anyway, when I started speaking up, and I remember really feeling like I need to get out there and speak what I'm passionate about, because what I'm passionate about is kids growing up to be who they're born to be, whether they're Nigerian kids, whether they're just African kids, whether they're, British, American, whatever kids. I don't mind. I've been working with all kinds of kids from so many different countries for the last 15 years. I wanted kids to grow up knowing who they are. And the fact that I had been in a position where I felt like I'd been raised almost to want to be something else, and I didn't even know who I was, became like a realization that what I want for other children, I haven't really enabled or accepted for myself. So I felt like, no, I'm going to have to peel back layers, get back to my core and speak out more for what I believe. And that was how I started a Facebook group. And that's how I started my Instagram account. Imagine at my age, I didn't have an Instagram account, started all of that. And from that day on the 27th of June, when I opened up my Instagram account, I haven't stopped speaking. It's constant speaking. And that's how I was able to rise out of that dark place. I feel like I'm very much out, but there's still more healing that we all need to do. We don't, so that's the root of how this eventually came out. I know more recently, it was, I think, Wednesday, I woke up early, and you know how you wake up and you're still kind of sleeping. And I woke up just on Wednesday, which is now 3 days ago. And when I woke up, I just felt that the recording, what I put out, the video I put out about African parents, it just literally, it's almost like I said the whole thing. It's like I said the whole video. And I thought, oh, wow. Well, it's not strange to me, because that, strangely or not, that's happened to me a few times. Like I would sort of imagine myself giving a whole speech, which I'll then end up giving. It might not be the same words, but it's the same sort of thing. So I've always been that kind of person right from when I was a child. Before I go up somewhere, I would plan. So this, I just woke up and it just came to me, and I'm like, oh, okay, wow. But I thought, this is a bit heavy for me. I don't think I want to be talking about, African parenting and how we look at ourselves and what we say about ourselves. I don't think I'm ready, because that exposes my own hurt as well. I'm not quite ready. But again, I went back to sleep, and again, it came back again. When you're in that rest state, things just drop in your mind. That's so clear. Again, it came up. I said, Lord. And at this point, I was like, Lord, if this is you need to say, because me, I'm not doing this. You, okay, but me, I'm not ready for this. But I knew that I needed to. So this was Wednesday night. And then by Thursday morning, when I was fully dressed, sitting in front of my mirror, getting dressed, I repeated the whole video again. This time awake, talking to myself in the mirror. And I said, absolutely, it looks like I'm going to have to do it. And then the burden, I was like, no, I can't do it. I can't go out there. If I say this, they might think this. If I say this, wrestled with the whole thing, spent the whole of Thursday not doing the video. And eventually at 5 p.m. or so, I was just like, it took me, the first take I deleted, I kept deleting because I just thought, and then eventually I said, I'm just going to speak what's in my heart. I'm not going to stop anymore. I'm just going to speak what's in my heart. And believe it or not, I sat down in front of my phone and recorded the whole 10 minutes. There was no editing done, video done. I just spoke for 10 minutes, and I'll stop there. And that was it. That's basically how we got to this point.
It's such a powerful video, it's so powerful. Like you could sense the passion in your voice, and for me, I'm just like, I think I'm asking myself, okay, what do I need to do? For me, I'm like, I need to talk more about it. I feel like we need to start calling it out. I feel like we need to start calling it out. Like we need to for me, I started thinking about times where I've seen, a post, and I've seen a post of something that has made me very sad. Like the whole African parenting thing, you see someone talking to their child in a certain way and maybe even laughing about it. And I'm just like, oh, this is not good, But again, I just say, well, African parenting. And I think after watching your video, I thought to myself, no, shouldn't we be how else can we support each other and uplift each other if we don't be like, guys, come on, this is not who we are. We're so much better than this. And I remember watching, I think Lionheart, I think it was like 2 years ago or something. I remember watching Lionheart, and the first maybe like 20 minutes of the video, there was a scene where like some bus drivers came out and they were like, hey, you need to give us our money, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, this is our Nigeria, this is Nigeria. And then, you know, if this is how they do it abroad, this is in Nigeria. And she came out, and Genevieve's character came out and said, so this is your Nigeria. This is your Nigeria. And that thing really resonated with me. When I watched that, I was like, ooh, this is so true. We say our Nigeria, we're proud of. What should make us proud of our Nigeria? You know, we go abroad and then we see things the way things should be done, and we feel, no, it can never happen in Nigeria. Why not? Why not? What do we need to change about ourselves? What do we need to change about our mindset that makes us think that that is okay? That makes us think that talking down to our children, they're fearful. Why should our children be fearful? You shout at them. Why should they be fearful? You know, there are just so many things. And I'm like thinking to myself, okay, what is the best way to handle this? What's the best way? After hearing this kind of message, what can I do to be part of the solution, you know, and not the problem?
I think that's the thing. The first thing I really want to say about this is that there are many people who don't parent in that sort of aggressive way. There are many Africans I'm talking about that don't do it. But my thing is, even for those of us who don't do it, we have accepted that it's done.
Yeah.
And so even if we see it done, we're like, anyway, that's the way. And I'm like, no, this is what. So that's the first thing. So if anyone's listening to this and is thinking, fine, people might do, but I don't do it. No, but that usually is the problem. We usually are part of the problem, because by not saying, it needs somebody like us who doesn't do it. And when I mean us, you and I as you know, parenting coaches or whatever, but many other people in other professions that just don't speak to their children that way and don't hit their children. We need them to be saying, guys, that's not normal. You have people that don't even have children that'll be advising people with children to slap them. I'm like, no, you know? So I'm just saying that we need to start saying, and you know, when people say, oh, Nigerians, that's what we do, we just cheat. No, I would never accept that. I'll say, no, we don't do that. That's not true about us. Some people may have done it, and maybe we have come to think that, oh, maybe that, but that's not us. I want us to move away from negative labeling on our character. I have so many Nigerian friends. I have so many African friends. Do you think I'll be hanging out with them if I saw them as, you know, aggressive, cheats, wife beaters? So why are we accepting that as normal? And so much. So I feel like what we need to do is actually stopping people and say, no, actually, it's not normal. We don't all do this. And those people who do this need to stop doing it. So I think speaking is a key thing, and also catching ourselves, because the other thing I found was that it's not just how we treat our children, because some people will feel like, oh no, I can't do that to my child, but then you do that to the house help. So to me, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's how we treat humans in general. My voice and your voice are louder because we're passionate about how children are raised.
Yeah.
Somebody else, it's the same thing that happens in the workplace. It's the same thing that happens in marriages. You know, I'm not saying in every, but it's the same thing. So maybe you're not doing it to your, you know, so by the time I saw NSAS protests, I mean, I was just like, guys, come on. It spills over everywhere. And again, I was speaking to somebody who said this, and it was nice the way she said it, because it made sense. She said there are levels, and it's so true. On someone's level might be, you know, pushing their child's head or smacking child at the back of the head or whatever. Someone's level might be screaming. Other people's level might be beating. But you have to realize that it's still different levels of aggressive behavior to other humans, be it your own little human in your home or your human that works for you. Anybody that you feel you have some kind of authority over seems to be getting that kind of treatment in Nigeria. And my problem with that is if you're a parent that doesn't do that to your child, they're still going to go to school with another child who receives it. And they're going to work for a boss who does it. and they're going to have colleagues so we really need to stop saying things like, oh, but I don't do it. It's not all of us. It's still enough to affect all of us.
It's so true. It's so true, because I know, like, growing up, nobody hates me, it was always conversation. But I remember going to secondary school, being in day school, and having to take public transport to school, and seeing a lot of aggressive behavior and everything. And I wasn't like that. So it was very difficult for me to, understand why this person with authority, like, for me, like, why scared of the police, scared of anybody in authority? You go and get your passport, the person in the passport office is just aggressive, and everybody does. And I'm like, how is this, and it's so, now that I have a child, now that I, working with children now, back then I used to think to myself, what is this? And just let it go. But now I'm like, oh my gosh, no, this is not what I want my child, this is not what I want the children that I'm with to see my country as. I want it to be better for them. But then just realizing that these things we do, these microaggressive behavior, is repeating. The cycle is not ending. And it's not going to end in me just saying, oh, I would never do this to my child. It doesn't end with me. It will continue doing if we don't actually intentionally start doing something about it,
I agree.
So how do you feel now that the video is out?
So when I put the video out, I've been going through ups and downs of feelings. To be honest, I felt quite nervous putting it out, because I knew that putting it out there would bring the discussion I wanted. But then I thought, how much of it am I able to really go into? Because there's still a bit of rawness in me. I think the major sadness for me is that we're not stopping to think about the impact on our children. And, we were talking about the fact that when children are fearful, we don't realize, and they're fearful of authority especially, it means that wherever they go in the world, they still cower to authority. And if we present authority to mean in whatever shape or form it comes in, they cower. And then it means that people are reluctant to really be who they're supposed to be. So it's holding our country back in the sense that we don't realize. And I remember when NSAS happened, and I was like, the fact of the matter is we can develop the country, but we're not talking much about the human capital. We keep talking about schools. We need roads. We need the people in the country to value humans, number one. That's the number one thing. And so that's when I put it out, I was thinking, I'm going for the humans, saying that we need to value humans, and I don't want the humans to come at me and say, what do you mean? And I think that was my thing. But when it comes down to it, we need to love the people. That's how transformation comes. People have to feel that they're worthy. They have to feel that they're worth it. They have to feel like, or else why people are trying to leave the country, because they just don't feel like the country values them, and we don't value ourselves. And if police are treating you that way, you're treating this one that way. It's only in Nigeria that even Megad will be talking down to household, who's talking down to driver, who's talking down to mechanic. I'm like, hey guys, who are we going to value in ourselves? And I keep repeating this: if we don't value ourselves, if we don't treat the humans in our care in a way that makes them feel like they're everything, they'll always go out into the world and they'll never get treated better, because they'll never attract better treatment. They don't expect better treatment. They just don't expect you. They expect the worst. You even see it in America. I mean, we're talking about African parenting, but I'm talking about, African American. It's the same thing. There's a lot of this conversation about whooping people's asses or however they say it. And it's just like a normal thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah, so true.
Can you not see a pattern and a problem here?
You're so right. After I had my son and moved to Nigeria, I, needed help at a point. I was like, we need help cleaning and everything. So some people are like, oh, just get a house. I said, I don't really want someone living. I just want someone to come and help with some stuff, and then so I can have a break. And they were like, oh, I don't know if you find something, blah, blah, blah. And eventually there was this young girl who I got told about. She wanted to go to school. She wanted to become a seamstress and everything, but she wasn't going to just come for a little bit. She wanted to live with me. So I saw this as, oh, okay, I'm at the time I had started a business. I was like, okay, she can come and work here, and I took her in. And to me, it was like, all right, my little sister, come, and I was ready to help this girl go to school and achieve all of her dreams. I would tell her, write down everything you want to achieve in life, write it down, don't feel. And I remember someone coming to visit me and watch me with her. We were chatting and everything. And they said, is that your niece? I was like, yeah. She works for me. And I told them about how I found her and how, and she was like, this way you're going. This way you're going. This girl will show you Pepe. And I'm like, what? She says, you don't treat hired help like that they don't understand it, that you have to shout at them, you have to this thing. Listen, this thing you're doing, it is not, don't do it. I'm telling you. She was really warning me. I'm like, how? She said, I said to her, I don't believe it. She said, I'm telling you, these people, that's the only language they understand is shouting. Is it? So I was like, to me, I was like, I beg. Me, I've always believed, behave, treat people how you would want to be treated. So I just carried on. Anyway, I was moving to Lagos. Said to her, would you like to move with me to Lagos? I know your family is here. If you don't want to move, that's absolutely fine. But I'd really love you to move to Lagos so that, this thing we want to do, we have you have a bigger platform. Lagos is the place of dreams. Talk to her. And she looked at me and I'm like, do you want to move to Lagos? She said, do you want me to move? I said, would I be asking you if I didn't want you to come with me? She said, but auntie, do you really want me to come with you? I said, yes. And she said, okay, will you ask my mom? I was like, of course. So went to her mom's house, took them stuff. I said, look, I'm taking your daughter. I will take care of her, told the mom everything. Her mom was like, thank you, took everything. Took her to Lagos and we started planning again, what we're going to do with you, write down your vision, write down everything. Had already spoken to someone where she was going to go to start learning to do this, the sewing work and everything that she wanted to do. And to be fair, I didn't really have, there wasn't much for her to do at home. So we planned out her day and everything. Anyway, not too long after we moved to Lagos, she just woke up one day and said to me that she wants to go. And I'm like, where are you going? She says she wants to go. She can't do, she needs to leave. I'm like, why? She said, I just need to live. Anyway, long short of the whole story, she left. And I was like, okay, that was it. I was like, I'm not having anybody in my house again. I don't understand why she left, but okay. Mm-hmm. She came back 2 months later, knocking on the door, crying, like she didn't believe that this was really me. That how can anybody love somebody that they don't know, that she could not believe that it was real. She said there must be something. How can this person she thought when she was going to Lagos, that was when the true me would come out. But still, I was still doing all of this, that she cannot believe that where she's gone now, she's just seen like a totally different thing. She said, I'm not asking you to take me back, but I just want you to know that I didn't believe that it could be possible to be treated like this. And she said, I'm sorry for leaving you the way I left and everything. And it just shows that they cannot receive it.
Thank you. I love it. I was just listening. I was hoping that she would show you Pepe and leave. You know why? Because I wanted to say that's all she knows. Why? Because that's all she's been shown. We want to transform our country. It starts with the humans. It's not about, building this and building that. It's the humans. And you see, the friend that told you not to treat her with love was trying to protect you. And that's what people keep doing. But by doing that, we're not enabling anyone to change. It's so funny how the reason why they behave in certain ways is because they expect to be treated badly. It's not just helps that think that way. It's not just drivers. It's you and I. If we've been treated or raised in a way, in an environment, whether it's at home, where some people were not beaten by their parents, but in schools they were beaten. Some people proudly tell you how they beat me in school. And when I got to my mom added her own beating, I'm like, what kind of madness is this? So you see, when all these things happen, you expect negative treatment from people. So you never give your full self. So you never become your real self. This is the same thing. How then do we transform a country? If the human beings in the country are still broken in ways. And that's why that story, I love it because it just explains so clearly what happens. We cannot transform if we continue to put people in that situation. So even if you send your child abroad, and they go and work it up, they still expect, they can't receive the good opportunities as quickly as, because they don't expect it to last. It's another thing. If you think that by hitting people, that's the way you get them to perform, then you don't realize that even as adults that are not being beaten at work, you still subconsciously only respond to a harsh treatment. You don't know how to internally motivate yourself, and you don't even realize that. But when the boss says, I'll cut your salary, you're like, oh gosh, okay, now I'll work. So you see the point? You're still being subconsciously led by harsh treatments. And this is why a lot of us, even though this is why it filters, I don't know which way it came from, but it filters into our religion. We expect God to be this harsh. I'm just like, do we not see that this thing is, and for me, it comes and it starts from the home, and that's where we can deal with it. And that's why I really targeted parents, not because parents are the problem, but because they're the solution.
Yeah.
That's where the humans are coming out of, from the home.
Ebiere, thank you so much. This was such a beautiful conversation. I believe that we should have conversations like this. I want to start doing this so much more, because I feel like it's so important for us to be having these type of conversations, for us to be challenging the norm, And I believe that, I've always believed that change is possible. It just takes a few people saying the same thing
over and over,
over and over again. Yeah.
I know. Thank you for making me do this, because you know that it was a little bit, I don't know, but thank you. I think it was a good idea in the end. I'm glad I did.
Yes. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye.